Alright, what's going on, guys? I'm bringing you story time episode number 21. It's been a while. I was gonna do a story about how, like, a couple days ago, this weird-ass old man pervert at the gym really wanted to meet. I'm pretty sure he wanted to meet. Like, he did something a little weird. He was looking at me, but that story was only gonna be, like, a minute long, maybe. I could have maybe stretched it out to 2 minutes, so I sat down here to make that story, and I was like, well, this isn't much of a fucking story, is it? So instead, I decided that we are gonna go on the journey of how I became a veteran Call of Duty athlete, how I became the athlete I am today. It was a long journey to make it to this point, so this might be a long video. I'm not sure. I'm just gonna talk and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I don't forget anything. Might have to split this video up into 2 parts or something because there's a lot to discuss, but you know, people are always curious about my life and stuff, and I don't talk about my actual life outside of like YouTube stuff too much, so this will give you a little bit of insight into that. Not that much. It's more focused on Call of Duty, but it'll kind of give you a timeline, if that makes sense. Actually, you know what? You guys remember like 2 years ago, people used to make those Draw My Life videos. It was super popular. Like, everyone made a Draw My Life video, right? It's gonna kind of be like that, but like the Call of Duty edition, if that makes sense. And also, I guess, without the drawing part. So actually, now that I say that, it's not really like a Draw My Life at all, is it? Anyway, let me quit talking. Let's get into the journey. All right, so believe it or not, before I was ever a Call of Duty athlete, I was actually a Halo athlete. Halo 3, more specifically. I was pretty young when Halo 2 came out. Like, I wasn't really on Xbox Live. I was outside playing in the front yard with the neighbors' kids and shit. Back in the day, we used to go outside. Nowadays, we got fucking 11-year-olds on Xbox calling me the N-word. Like, that's how times have changed. But I was pretty young when Halo 3 first came out. It was my first game on the original white Xbox 360, the one that got the fucking red rings all the time, the piece of shit one. I should note, at this point in my life, I was not really concerned with video games that much. I actually played video games just for fun, believe it or not. I didn't give a fuck if I won the game or if I did good or anything. I was playing them for fun. I was actually using my athletic talents on the sport of basketball at the time. I mean, I know it's not as hard of a sport as Call of Duty, I get it, but that's pretty much what I spent all my time doing. And then I would come home and I would maybe play video games for like an hour or 2 before bed, right? To fast forward a bit, it got to the point where I actually did get really into Halo 3, and I was actually pretty good. To this day, Halo 3 still might be my favorite game of all time. It's hard to choose. Halo 3 or Black Ops 1. Those are my 2 favorite games. But I did get to the point where I was actually pretty good at Halo. I don't know what it is, like, but if I ever do something, like, I like to really, like, put effort into it and try to be good at it. I just can't, like, do something and continually suck at it, if that makes sense. I'll just go find something else, but I'm not gonna sit here and keep sucking at something. So I think I was probably at least a 45 in every single playlist. I had my general in Slayer and doubles, but I was at least like a 45 in MLG, snipers, everything, except for maybe like a big team, because it was like impossible to get enough people to get that rank up. But other than that, I was pretty high up there in like every single playlist. If that means anything to you, if you've played Halo, you understand what I'm talking about. And also at this point, I had already kind of quit playing basketball temporarily. The season had already ended that year, and I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. That's a whole separate story. I had a terrible attitude. I just like argued with the coaches every single day. I would get kicked out of practice and shit. I had a terrible fucking attitude. I was just like an immature little kid, man. You know, I just didn't want to listen to what people were telling me. I thought I was the fucking man and I knew everything in the world. So anyways, this was probably around sophomore year now at this point, all right? And I had also, let me just point this out. At this point, I have also played Call of Duty 4 and Call of Duty World at War, but I actually personally consider Modern Warfare 2 my first real Call of Duty, because even though I played a little bit of World at War and COD 4, I probably only played like 20 public matches online, like not even enough to prestige on the game. Like I was probably like level 30 or something on COD 4, so I wouldn't really consider that my first COD. I barely remember it, because at the time Halo 3 was out, and back then Halo was actually more popular than Call of Duty, so I was a Halo player. I wasn't really messing with Call of Duty. So at this point, we get to the first event in my life life that has brought me to where I am today with YouTube and being a Call of Duty athlete and all of that. Halo 3 had been out for a while already, like 3 years or something, I don't remember. Halo doesn't make a new game every year like COD, so you have to actually play the same game for a couple years, and then they'll come out with a new game. So at this point, Halo Reach was announced, and they did a beta for the game. Now, without getting into too much detail and, I don't know, triggering the Halo Reach fans, are there any out there? I'm not sure, but Halo Reach is fucking terrible, alright? I know some people might disagree with that, but if you're someone who played Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, and then you played Halo Reach, like if you were a Halo veteran athlete, you know Halo Reach was fucking terrible. But I know some people out there might like it, you know, the same way that some people think Infinite Warfare is good or Advanced Warfare is good. You know, some people like those games. I have to just imagine that they never played the old Call of Duties and they don't know what COD is really about, so that maybe that's why they like the game. So kind of similar to Halo Reach. Ironically, what they did to COD is also what ruined Halo Reach. They added in these fucking jetpacks and these dumbass abilities, which are very comparable to Specialists. Nobody liked it, and a bunch of people moved over to Call of Duty. So just a note to all the developers out there, do not add jetpacks and dumbass abilities and Specialists to your game. Nobody likes it. It ruins the game, and it's been proven time and time again, but they're going to continue doing it because they don't like listening. But anyways, at that point, I played the beta. I was like, well, this is fucking dog shit. So I quit playing Halo, and I moved over to Call of Duty, and at the time, MW2 was already out. I think it had just come out. It wasn't out for that long, maybe a couple months or something, and people were saying it was really good. So I started playing MW2, but I wasn't really taking it serious at this point because it wasn't like Halo. I didn't really care about Call of Duty at all, and also I was getting kind of older at this point, so now I could drive and I had a car and I started playing basketball again and stuff, so I wasn't really concerned with playing MW2. Like, that wasn't high on my priorities list. Like, I used to play AAU with the actual varsity team because it wasn't affiliated with the school coaches. It was just like my friends, because I would have to deal with the coaches. I didn't want to fucking deal with that, but I would just play with them in the summer on AAU. So it was, I don't know, it was like the same thing, but a better way of doing it, I guess you could say, because we just got to kind of do our own thing and actually have more fun with it. So at this point, I did not really care about MW2. I didn't care about being good at it or anything. I would just play MW2 at night for like an hour or so before bed, and just doing that, I eventually got kind of good at the game. By the end of MW2, I was over a 2KD player or whatever, so I was alright, you know, nothing too special. But I had pretty much learned the majority of the basic fundamentals that you need in order to be good at COD. You know, Call of Duty is very easy, and once you learn the basic fundamental things of how to be good at COD, you can apply them to any COD that comes out, old or new or whatever, and you will be good at it. It's very simple, like, it's not hard. So by the end of MW2, I had kind of that understanding of how to be good at COD, but I still at this point didn't really care that much. So now this brings us into senior year. At this point, I'm already accepted into college and stuff, so I don't really give a fuck about anything. Like, life is already ready to go, alright? I'm just here finishing out high school, right? No one really gives a fuck about anything at this point. But at the start of senior year, as I said, I just didn't give a fuck. So I was probably like, I don't know how many, 1 or 2 absences away from a truancy fine, because I was just skipping school like every fucking day. I would just skip a random period or whatever, and we just go out and do something or whatever the fuck, right? I wasn't giving a fuck. But they sent this letter in the mail to my parents, and it was like, oh, if your child misses 1 more day of school, he will be truant, and you will have to pay this fine. I don't remember how much the fine was, probably like $500 or something. You have to pay this $500 fine, you have to go to court and say why you were absent, like all this dumbass shit. And my parents were fucking pissed when they saw that, alright, because it makes it sound like a really big fucking, I guess it is kind of a big deal, but it makes it sound way worse than it actually is, I would say. And they had no idea that I was like skipping school every day. Like, you know, I would just go to school in the morning and they'd be like, okay, he's at school, and then they go to work or whatever, and I just wouldn't be at school, right? I would just be doing whatever. And then I would come home and be like, yeah, school was good today, whatever, like, you know. So this just like completely stunned them, alright? They had no tack mask on. They just got this letter in the mail like, hey, what the fuck is this? So yeah, I kind of continued down that path for a bit. I just really didn't give a fuck about anything. I was doing whatever. And then one day, this would probably be the most key event of all, I guess. This was the biggest thing that made me start like playing Xbox seriously.